Internets! Hello, you lovelies, and welcome to Agatha All Along, episode 5. This is my spoiler-full review. I am currently at the Reject Nation headquarters because we just finished our reaction over there, so I'm recording it not in the usual set, but if you are new to this page, I do comic book news, comic book reviews, as well as movie news and movie reviews, and some TV, especially as it pertains to DC and Marvel. So, this episode of Agatha puts me back in the might not be for me range. The episode overall kind of felt like the last time on, like a previously montage. It really just hit the beats, but I didn't really feel a lot of connection, and that was some of the issue I was having with the show to begin with. I just didn't feel connected to any of these characters, and unfortunately with episode 5, I think I'm back there. And I said before with episodes 1 through 3 that this isn't my demo. Like, the show wasn't made for me, and a lot of people that don't like the show got mad at me for apologizing for the show, but I think it's very important to note that the people this is made for, I can absolutely see this being like their jam. This is very campy, very fun, very big, but unfortunately for me, I'm such a fan of the 80s. I'm such a fan of like witchy stuff. I'm such a fan of like Ouija boards and all the pieces of this that I really, really wanted to like this episode, and I just didn't feel anything. Spoilers for the episode. When the character that we had just built an entire episode around loving dies the next episode and it feels kind of passive, it's not a good sign. And I love when movies can make you have a really, badass moment for a character, then they kill the character, and you're like, no, I just got to know them. They did that, but unfortunately I didn't feel any loss when she died. And then, again, spoilers, the reveal of Wiccan felt like they built it up as a reveal, but when the thing that is obvious is revealed, it kind of just feels like it's pandering or condescending or I don't know what it felt like, but I think people that don't know the comics at all and people that don't know, who he is must have had such a cool moment. But again, from my experience, it didn't really feel like a moment. I was like, oh, and I love the needle drop with Billie Eilish. I really want to give that credit. That was a cool visual audio tie-in, like The Crown. That was an awesome impact. But I feel like the whole season calling him teen and teasing who he was, to have it just be Wiccan, which is what we always assumed it was, is hard. It'd be like if you always assumed everyone was dead in The Sixth Sense, and then everyone was dead, you're like, well, yeah, I'm just watching a movie now. It's not a twist. So I am curious about the further twists of Nicholas Scratch. I'm curious about the further twist of who Aubrey Plaza is. I'm curious about the further twist of who the villain of the show is and how Mephisto ties in, because Mephisto was name dropped. But I do feel like at this point in the season, 5 out of the 9 episodes, that mid-season moment with Wiccan didn't quite land for me. I did, enjoy the moment of seeing him control the witches and how that's how we discover he's Wiccan, that he's been playing both sides this whole time. He's the duplicitous one. He is a man of duality. But I just don't feel as connected to Agatha as I did in WandaVision, which is ironic because in WandaVision she was literally brainwashed and removed, but I still felt like that Catherine Hahn charm more. I felt in episode 4, through the trials, I was starting to get to know these characters more and feel more connected to these characters, and all those things were really working for me. Unfortunately, this episode kind of undercut that. Episode 1 and 2 were very campy and way too cheesy for me personally. I didn't love the true detective-iness, and I liked the idea of it. The concept of someone obsessed with true crime, tying that in, that all was well and good, but it didn't land for me. The acting was a bit hammy. But then I forgave episode 1 and 2 because I knew what they were going for. Episode 3, I liked the concept of the trial. I liked the Desperate Housewives vibe. I liked that I was getting to know these characters in a new setting and how that played with the WandaVision trope. But the trial was so integral to that feeling impactful. Then episode 4 definitely succeeded because I cared about the trial. I loved the idea of a protective spell being a song. I love the poetry of that. I love what that means for music. I love what that means for witchcraft. I loved all that. So then in episode 5, after you've earned it with 3 and 4, after the trials are established to be so important, this one didn't feel like a trial. It didn't feel like the possession was something to overcome because the lack of punishing Agatha, which could have been a really cool tie into the 80s, which could have been about, like in the 80s, bullying was how you punish kids. In 80s movies, like leaving someone and like saving yourself was a lot more common. We were a lot less empathetic to certain things in the 80s. There could have been a commentary about bullying, could have been a commentary about leaving someone behind, could have been a commentary about the possession and what it is to be overcome with passion for power, which is what Agatha wants. There's a lot of metaphors they could have done with possession, with punishment, with this trial, and instead it was very much like cool scene with witches' brooms that's fun and very Disney Channel, which was fun, into Ouija board scene, which felt Disney Channel now in a bad way for me. And then by the time we got to the actual trial, which was, you know, Agatha, who everyone's already disliked and been rather mean to, and vice versa, she's the villain. But by the time we got to, like, punish Agatha, only Jen wanted to punish her, and then it didn't feel like a trial, it felt like a moment, it felt like a beat. Again, this felt very much like the last time on. I feel like this episode, episode 5, felt like I watched the opening of episode 6, catching me up on what just happened, because it was that beat for beat, here, just move along, just move along. And it was still somehow a bit boring for 20 minutes. It's only a 22-minute episode, and I was a bit bored in those 20 minutes. Why they rush forward? I don't know. And all of that could be because this, again, isn't made for me. That said, I really like 80s movies. It's Letterboxd. If you're not on Letterboxd, it's a rating system of movies and things. And my Letterboxd is 3,700 movies strong. And the 80s is my favorite decade as far as my most rated films. Like, my highest rated films per average are in the 80s. It's my jam. It's literally specifically my favorite time in movies. I love the idea of possession as something that would, like, if you're possessed by wanting power, and they dabbled with her playing with the power and you not knowing which side she falls on, how guilty she feels. But they could have done so much with that as a possession metaphor. The mom stuff and the Nicholas Scratch stuff are kind of at odds with each other. I can't tell if that was supposed to be mysterious or if it was just messy storytelling. Please, in the comments below, let me know why Nicholas Scratch, who I believe was the bunny, / also a metaphor for the devil, / also maybe her son, because her son's voice came in there. Was she being possessed by Nicholas Scratch, who then took the form of her mother? Or was she being possessed by her mother, who was then trying to, you know, put her through this trial, and that was the, you know, the metaphor. That moment, that beat, that one beat just kind of felt like 3 different things happening at once, and then they moved past it before I really felt like I got to know what was going on, because then we went right into the death, and then from there, right into Wiccan. So, I don't know. I really feel like this show, for me, has been the below average enjoyment of a lot of other stuff. It's back to where episode 3 was, where I was like, maybe I'll just, you know, watch it this once and move along with my life. I do think now, the moment where they spell out death, and death feels like an actual entity, death doesn't feel like a concept, because everything else they named was like a proper noun. Like, Mrs. Hart was a person or a proper, you know, noun. The concept of the mother, like, these are all, so I think death is a physical entity, and in Marvel Comics, Thanos falls in love with death. Deadpool courts death, falls in love with death. Death's a thing. So I do think, and a lot of people theorize that Aubrey Plaza, especially in the Green Hood, is death. When we saw her come into the Witch's Road, she was in the neighborhood right after someone died. I do think Aubrey Plaza as death is a viable option. She always wants to kill. She always has that knife. And that would be really interesting with Agatha's child being dead, her courting death, that flirting with death. That makes that really playful and fun. So death is a fun concept that I hope that we get into with Aubrey Plaza's character going forward. I'm really hoping 6 feels more like 4 for me. We'll be into the 90s, another decade I dig. But also, like, I really want to invest in these characters again. I really want to feel something. The fact that they seemingly died, you know, there's a cliffhanger, or they got put into, you know, they're going to the next place, but they got, you know, sucked up, and I didn't really feel a lot, is not the best feeling. I want to care. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think of this show. Let me know what you think of this episode. Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like in this video. Even if you like the show and don't like that I don't like it, I'm sorry. But I am trying to be diplomatic, and I do understand how camp is a lot of people's jam, and how this might be their favorite thing, and how that Wiccan moment might have been the world. And there was a really cool moment of acting with Agatha Harkness, manipulating, and like, you remind me so much of your mother. Like, that witchiness was dope, and Aubrey Plaza's witch laugh were by far my 2 highlights of the show. The last beat with Agatha Harkness and Aubrey Plaza cackling like a witch on a broom. What a blast. Those moments were highlights for sure. I just wanted the 80s stuff to hit more. I wanted the metaphor of possession. I wanted the trial to feel more like a trial. I wanted the death to resonate. Those things would have been nice. But Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of episode 5. Also, leave a like on this video, and also, as ever, please do hit that subscription bell. Really trying to hit 36K. We're close. We're at like 35 and change. And also, check out my video just earlier today talking about Aaron Pierre as Green Lantern, as well as earlier today, my Saturday night review. And then tomorrow, I think it'll be up tomorrow, I'm going to go see Superman, the documentary about Christopher Reeve, Super/Man. So lots of stuff coming to this page. Please hit that subscription bell to stay tuned. Please leave a comment, and I genuinely hope you're enjoying the show more than me. Episode 5 did not really work for me, but I'm going to be here next week. I'll be back. See you on episode 6. Maybe it'll be my thing again like episode 4 was. Maybe I like the even-numbered ones. We'll find out next week. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.